podcasts. You will find ours, freespeech.org, on Monday. We will be moving to a new time for our free speech audience, 3 p.m. For everybody else, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you back here next time.
You've been listening to The Rick Smith Show. Email Rick at rick@thericksmithshow.com. Until next time, this has been The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Mourners continue lining up to pay their respects for Pope Francis lying in state inside St. Peter's Basilica. The Vatican kept its doors open all night due to the number of visitors and only closed them for an hour early morning Thursday. Emiliano Fernandez from Mexico was waiting in line around midnight.
I don't even care how many times I wait here. It's just the opportunity to have this and how I admired Francisco in his life.
The public viewing ends Friday at 7 in the evening. The pontiff's funeral will be held Saturday in St. Peter's Square. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky cut his official trip to South Africa short on Thursday after a major Russian strike hit the capital of Kyiv. At least 9 people were killed and 70 injured. The attack came after negotiations for a peace deal have appeared to stall with no agreement in sight. President Trump lashed out at Zelensky on Wednesday, accusing him of prolonging the war by refusing to surrender Russia-occupied Crimea as part of a possible deal.
I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far, it's been harder.
India is blaming Pakistan for a militant attack that killed 26 and wounded 17 in Indian-held Kashmir. India's government provided no evidence of this publicly. India's Foreign Minister Vikram Misri said the Indus Water Treaty would be suspended and the mainland border crossing between the two countries would be closed. A number of Pakistani diplomats in New Delhi were asked to leave, and Indian diplomats were recalled from Pakistan. India describes militancy in Kashmir as Pakistan-backed terrorism. Pakistan denies this. A federal judge on Wednesday temporarily halted her order requiring the Trump administration to provide information on its efforts to bring back Gilmar Abrego Garcia, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. The Trump administration is also seeking relief from having to file daily updates on its progress. U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes granted the stay until April 30th, but her order did not make any changes to the required daily status updates. This is AP News. Gethin Kulbal has the latest on sports.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Kulbaugh. The Cavaliers held off the Heat 121-112 to take a 2-0 lead in their Eastern Conference first-round NBA playoff series. Donovan Mitchell led the charge with 30 points for Coach Kenny Atkinson's team.
Those are one of those, superstar takes over game situations.
The defending champion Celtics took a 2-0 series lead over the Magic with a 109-100 win, despite Jason Tatum sitting out with a wrist injury. In the West, the Rockets bounced back to even their series with the Warriors after a 109-94 Game 2 win. Stanley Cup playoffs, Tyler Seguin scored an OT winner, and the Stars grabbed a 2-1 series lead with a 2-1 win over the Avalanche. The Kings routed the Oilers 6-2 to go up 2-0. In the East, the Capitals secured a 2-0 series lead with a 3-1 win over the Canadiens.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, a low near 53. Friday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 73 degrees. Then by Saturday, mostly sunny, high of 55. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 68 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 54.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Thursday morning, progressives, and welcome to the April 24th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278. Facebook Live is where you can catch the video. TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com and catch me on Substack. Going to be posting some more stuff in the next couple of days, particularly with all that's happening. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple and podcasts and Spotify. That's where you can get Choose Views, short versions and long versions. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Patty Vasquez, Driving You Home. And Edwin Eisendrath, The Big Picture. Out Chicago, and our other great shows and interviews. Make sure you make your way over to our heartlandsignal.com digital platform, because there are things there that you want to share. Oh, I didn't plan that. Things there that you want to share. Okay, all right. Yeah, we'll put that into the conversational arsenal. And speaking of arsenal, today on our show, our guest will include a special guest, Michelle Peltier, who's a co-host of The Family Meeting and, of course, a Choose Views contributor, and one of my road dogs. She's going to be with us in the 6:30 hour, and we're going to be talking about the latest announcement from right here in Illinois regarding Senator Dick Durbin announcing his retirement, as well as House Representative Jan Schakowsky. So Michelle and I are going to chop that up when she's on. In the 7 o'clock hour, we'll have with us our good friend Dan Summins, Managing Director from Blessings in a Backpack, along with a special guest. And then at 7:30, Cook County Commissioner Josina Morita will be with us to talk everything Cook County. And that'll be a great segment. A couple topics we'll cover today in our short window before Michelle is on. I'm going to go through a quick article that I talked about this whole idea around colleges reclaiming their power. And then the question I'll ask you guys right now, so you can prepare to call in when Michelle's on or whenever, is, as progressives here in Illinois and nationwide, because of how our politics run now, who do you want to see as the next Illinois senator? And for those who know a little bit about Illinois politics, who do you want to see as the next member of the House of Representatives in that seat that Jan Schakowsky won't be rerunning for? So I'd like to hear from you guys in that space. And that's what we'll be talking about this morning. What I also want to share with you is the next Saturday. It's right around the corner. So make sure you're plugging into our May 3rd anniversary. As you know, the tickets are sold out. However, and given the fact that we're going to be at Max and Benny's up in Northbrook, we hope that you guys will still tune in that day between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. To hear Hal Sparks, Patty Vasquez, Scott Duff, Joan Esposito, and I, because we will be broadcasting live with special guests. The event is sponsored by Max and Benny's, Fazio Insurance, Smart 365, the Democratic Party of Kane County, and Southland Friends of Labor, as well as the Democratic Party of McHenry County and McHenry County Democratic Women. Be sure to visit our anniversary page to find where you can get details about the special broadcast, photo and sound galleries, which are kind of cool to check out. I'll tell you that myself. That document our 20-year history. The address is heartlandsignal.com/anniversary. And you guys also know that we've got a contest running for those who are into contests, as I turn through my pages. And that's, as you know, about this White House Correspondents' situation. And, you know, when the White House Correspondents' Dinner fires comedians, guess what? It's time that we take back the mic and brutally mock them in the process. Join the Political Voices Network for Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner. pay-per-view special Saturday, April 26th at 8 p.m. Central Time. The star-studded lineup includes and features Elaine Boozler, John Fugelsang, Stephanie Miller, JoJo from Jers, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, Frangela, WCPT's own Hal Sparks, and many others. You can watch it live and stream it on demand for just $20.26 because 2026 is a good number to think about. Head over to meethook.live/not to buy your pay-per-view pass, or you can call in now at 773-763-9278 and win a free stream code. We'll take the, we'll take the third caller. Henry will get the lines open in a bit. We'll take the third caller to get that free streaming code, 773-763-9278. Contest running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. One entry per person, one winner per household, and void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. Make sure you guys are staying tuned today to Live, Local, and Progressive with Joan Esposito, who should be back after taking a day off. And her guests will include Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show here on WCPT, comedian John Fugelsang, promoting the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and media watchers Mark Jacob and Jennifer Scholze. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5 p.m. here on WCPT because it's been Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Ken Mejia Beal, and their guests are Jenny Maurer, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Head Start Association, Shannon Lynn Parker, CEO of Brave Space Alliance, and Nathan Taylor of the Election Truth Alliance, a grassroots nonpartisan organization dedicated to highlighting potential election manipulation, interference, and irregularities. You guys are going to want to tune into that segment with Patty, with Nathan Taylor of Election Truth Alliance. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT. Of course, here, AM 820, Heartland Signal, website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And guess what? Tomorrow, Karen Byrne will be with us, probably live in studio. I got to check and make sure. And Commissioner Precious Brady Davis of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District here in Chicago. There you go, guys. We got lots happening here, and we want to make sure you are aware of it. I wanted to get all that in because we're going to be busy this morning and chock full of things to talk about as the show goes on. So we'll take a little bit of an early break. Henry is in here on his roller skates, back and forth, getting stuff done. We're going to take a little bit of an early break because when we come back, I'm going to throw you guys some, I'm going to call it red meat about Donald Trump. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we will be right back.
Thanks to our loyal WCPT listeners, the WCPT 20th anniversary broadcast is officially sold out.
But you can still enjoy the broadcast by listening to WCPT Radio on Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Hal Sparks will kick things off at 11 a.m., then hand it off to WCPT hosts Richard Chu, Joan Esposito, Patty Vasquez, and Scott Duff at 1 o'clock.
Surprise guests from WCPT's 20-year history will also join us.
Scroll through 20 years of WCPT Radio with legendary interviews, shows, and pictures on the WCPT 820 website. WCPT's live broadcast is sponsored by Max and Benny's Restaurant in Northbrook, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, Kane County Dems, Southland Friends of Labor, Democratic Party of McHenry County, and McHenry County Democratic Women. It's the WCPT 20th anniversary live broadcast Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only on WCPT 820, Chicago's only progressive talk radio station for 20 years.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views
with Richard Chu
on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey, progressive, welcome back to Choose Views. I guess we have a contest winner. We do. Awesome. And Henry's taking care of that, so congratulations. All right, so yesterday I talked a little bit about what I think the colleges need to do in pulling together and coalescing around this whole idea of blunting Trump and his attacks on universities. And of course, Harvard has sued the Trump administration. And as I said, and of course, we had the clip from Rachel Maddow's show talking about the possibility and then the importance of universities in these big conferences galvanizing together. Well, I wanted to speak to that and give you guys a little bit of a homework assignment, or at least something to go and kind of check out and review and read on yourself. There's a really good article in Crane's Chicago Business that I think will be even more illustrative to what I spoke about and what Rachel talked about on her show. And the article is actually in the education section, and it's titled "Big Ten Faculties Push a NATO, N-A-T-O, NATO-style alliance to blunt Trump's attacks." And I'll just read you a couple of pieces from the article. Excuse me. Faculties at Big Ten universities are proposing a mutual defense pact as a way to blunt the Trump administration's aggressive posture toward higher education. The faculty senates at 6 Big Ten schools have adopted resolutions in favor of a NATO-style alliance in which member schools would support a fellow institution under political or legal attack. Additional schools have scheduled votes. With billions in research funding hanging in the balance, university presidents have been quiet. But that could change, especially if the movement captures a majority of or more of the faculty groups in the 18-member alliance. At stake, academics say, is the nation's system of higher education, consisting of not just pioneering medical and scientific research, but the historic freedom to pursue ideas and inquiry about political control or interference. So, there you go. This article is in Crane's. It's called "Big Ten Faculties Call for Alliance Against Trump." And I'll hold on to this article. If you guys would like it, I can send a clip of it to you, but you can pull this one up if you go to Crane's Chicago Business, anywhere in the country if you're curious, because this is a topic and a conversation that I think that the Pac-10 can take advantage of. I had a number of texts from you guys yesterday saying, what about the smaller schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm all in on that. Whether it be the Big Ten Conference, whether it be SEC, Pac-10, Mid-Atlantic. I don't have all the conferences on top of my head, unfortunately. But the point is, because typically we look at the conferences based on their sports prowess. Let's just be honest about that. However, I believe that this is a tool that can be wielded with a tremendous amount of strength and power. They can come together, Henry, and if colleges, universities, junior colleges for that matter, can come together and say, no, not on our watch, it will send a very, very, very strong, stern message. I was having a conversation with one of my brothers-in-law last night about why as a country, if we call ourselves so big, bad, and tough and smart and better than everybody else, would you ever even think of the notion of messing with our educational system on any level, on a public school level, on a private school level, K through 12, trade schools, junior colleges, four-year schools, and all the rest, because they're not fitting into the narrative of what these knucklehead dumb A's at Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation want to see, which is people of color not having access, members of the LGBTQ community not having access, women being relegated to being at home, barefoot, and pregnant. That's coming from one particular group of people in this country. And you all know who it is. Okay? So I just wanted to read that article, send you guys their little homework assignment. Check that out. Better inform yourself on this topic. It's one that as we contact our elected officials on all levels about doing better, I think we can also reach out to some college presidents and chancellors and boards of directors at schools and say, listen, and you may not even have gone to college. Doesn't matter. But if you value a better educated society, then you should be leaning in to make sure that education is protected. Linda McMahon, listen, y'all, I'm gonna throw Henry under the bus, but not really. My man Henry could do a better job running the damn Department of Education than Linda effing McMahon could. And that's not a dig at Henry. I never would do that. I'm just saying Henry, with his youth and his vibrancy and his care for people, could do a better job than Linda McMahon will do. So why in the hell would we appoint somebody like that? Well, we know why. But the point I'm making, the broader point is our educational systems I believe, can fight. And if the universities, the Big Ten is deciding to put together this mutual pact, then more power to them. I'm excited about that. All right, we got a couple clips we want to get in. I said we're going to throw you some red meat regarding Trump, and it's coming from 3 different categories about Trump. One of them is talking about his failing right now with the I guess you could say the vaunted independent voter. One. The second one is one of his former cabinet members from his first term, and then an economic lean from a Republican, a conservative economist. But let's first hit you with one of the blind spots, or well, as I said, was suggested that I change the wording to Achilles heel, which I agree. And let's talk about independent voters.
What was once a winning message for President Trump now appears to be a growing liability. Harry, just stay here for a second. Okay. New polling shows independents are turning somewhat sour on President Trump's economic leadership right now with the rollout of his tariff agenda. And that's exactly what Harry Enton was doing, looking into the numbers to bring it to you. Okay, we're focusing in on independents on this one. Yes. So where does he stand with independents? Just kind of base.
Yeah, we'll focus in on independents here. And independents feel that Donald Trump has vacated the center of the electorate, catering to his base. What are we talking about? Well, let's talk about the overall net approval ratings. We're going to look at the worst ever at this point in a presidency. The old record among independents for the worst ever was Donald Trump back in 2016, a net approval rating of minus 16 points. Well, Donald Trump has broken his own record here. He now holds, in this particular term, the worst ever net approval rating at this point in a presidency among independents at, get this, minus 22 points. He is 22 points underwater with independents. That breaks the old record that belonged to Trump. He has set the new record. He is completely underwater with the center of the electorate, Kate Baldwin.
And this is overall. This is on all the issues. Now, focus in specifically on the economy.
Yeah, let's focus in on the economy, right? What is driving this overall approval rating for Donald Trump among independents to go underwater? Let's take a look at the economy. And let's take a look at Trump's net approval rating on it and look at the trend line over just the last few months. You go back to January, he was slightly above water with independents at plus 1 point. Look at this drop, Kate. Oh, my. Minus 29 points. That's a 30-point drop in under 3 months of time. What independents are hearing from Donald Trump, they hate. They hate what they're hearing from Donald Trump, and they are abandoning him in record numbers. At this point in his last presidency, he was about even at 0 points in terms of his net approval rating on the economy, and now he's at minus 29 points. You go back through the record books, I simply put, Kate Baldwin, can't find anything close to this. This is such a record that there is no historical analogy to be 29 points underwater on the most important issue of the day with independents. This right here, my dear friends, is political poison. If an election were held today and Donald Trump's net approval rating in the economy was minus 29 points with independents, I'm not quite sure how Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives.
And that's the reason why we want to have the strongest and best people in positions in the House right now and make sure that we are continuing to push hard. And with this transition that's coming up with Representative Schakowsky and Durbin, these are some opportunities. I don't want to spoil the powder just yet because Michelle and I are going to lean into this and talk about it. So that's box one, Trump and independents, underwater. See, we need to be leaning into this and talking about it. I'm going to talk about it. Okay? I'm relentlessly going to talk about this. Let's go to another quick segment from someone that was part of his cabinet for a short period of time in his first term and what he has to say now.
Is your ladder leaning on the wrong wall? If you had stayed with Trump.
I couldn't stay with Trump. There was a number of different reasons why I couldn't stay with Trump. He's not a constitutionalist. Remember, I took constitutional law. I was trained as a lawyer. I believe in the checks and balances of the system, 3 separate branches of government, further decentralization through the states. That's what's really led to me living a good part of the American dream. There's no centralized power in the country. There's no tyranny. Your Irish landsman, Jack Kennedy, had a great interview in 1962. He was 1 year into the job, and he told David Brinkley, I went to the Congress. I thought there was power there. There was no power. So I ran for the Senate. There had to be power there. Oh, there's no power. It must be down Pennsylvania Avenue. And what Jack Kennedy said to the guy very wryly, he said, I'm here in the White House. There's not a lot of power here. And the point being, and he said it in a beautiful Jeffersonian way, that the lack of power in these jobs has created this great decentralized aspirational American economy.
So how do you
think? So Trump doesn't want that. I couldn't stay with him.
Okay.
I may have my ladder on the wrong ladder, but I have my ladder on the American ladder. I'm a pro-American, pro-democracy person. There are things that Trump does that I do agree with. I think he's right on the border. I think he was right on certain tariffs, surgical tariffs with China. China's dumping stuff into our market. They're getting subsidized by.
I think he's right on NATO.
He's wrong on NATO.
Surely Europe are free riding.
Well, again, this is very complicated. We're running out of time.
Okay.
You have a security umbrella that the United States put in place, and Eisenhower himself said he did not want the European countries to build up. You guys fight with each other. You've been fighting with each other since Charlemagne. You go hard at each other. We went hard at each other twice in the 20th century. And Eisenhower was like, let's defang, let's declaw Europe. We'll have this benevolent democracy, at least it was up until Trump, be the security umbrella for everybody. And it'll serve our interests. We'll be able to export our power. There'll be soft power related to our culture in Hollywood. There'll be soft power related to the primacy of our dollar. And it's generally worked for the country. We have a minute, but I just want to make this point.
Yeah.
1982, we were 4% of the world's population, 26% of the world's output. It's 2025, 43 years later, we're the exact numbers. We've done things right with our policy to maintain our economic prowess around the world. And I think what Donald Trump is doing is a mistake. And so I can't have my ladder up against his wall for those reasons, because what he's doing is un-American.
In case you guys didn't know, that was Michael Scaramucci, a former member of Trump's administration in the first term. And he was outspoken, and, Trump didn't want anybody around that was going to be outspoken. And whether I agree with Scaramucci on a lot of things or not, I think that he's a relatively common sense guy that can make a point about something. He's leaned probably center right, but I think he's now regretting that and knows that he doesn't need to lean his ladder. In case you guys didn't quite understand what the question was from the British journalist, but he challenges Trump there. He made it clear. That's at every point, but the big points were he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's not following the Constitution. Excellent points by Scaramucci. All right, number 3 before we go to this break. This is yet another bit of red meat about people who have traditionally been in the Republican camp broadly, more specifically with Trump. Here's a conservative economist saying, not quite this time.
This isn't a switch that you flip and suddenly manufacturing is back in the United States of America.
It's also not a switch that you should wish to flip. In the United States, service sector wages are higher than manufacturing wages. We should not wish to move Americans from higher paying jobs into lower paying jobs.
Why aren't more conservatives saying what you just said, that the president is wrong?
The president's trade policy is going to do a lot of economic damage. It's going to reduce the income of households. It's going to reduce the purchasing power of wages. It's going to increase unemployment.
The administration says the opposite of everything you just said there.
They are.
The Commerce Secretary says jobs are going to explode.
Yeah, they're wrong. And they will be proven wrong if they stick with this policy.
So this isn't a switch that you flip and suddenly manufacturing is back in the United States of America.
It's also not a switch that you should wish to flip. In the United States, service sector wages are higher than manufacturing wages.
So the point in that clip, is that my big takeaway is that he said it bluntly. No, they're wrong. He didn't mince any words. They don't quite get it. No, they're wrong. And the reason that they're wrong is what he just said. And I go back to a conversation I was having with one of my brothers-in-law last night. You're not going to build a factory in 6 months. snap your fingers, flip a switch. And that gentleman's name is Michael Strain, who was on CBS. You're not going to flip a switch and have a factory pop up in central Ohio or in western Pennsylvania overnight. It's not going to happen. It's going to take time. There's some legislative things that have to happen, approvals, all those things. And so too many uninformed people talking about education have led themselves down this path. And many times it's independent voters. Thanks to, I just got a text from Karen Byrne about independent voters have been given too much leeway of being the ones that tip the scale. And I've made the reference to people that who are having some of the most influence on our elections are the least informed people when it comes to what the topics really are. So to that end, and what Scaramucci was saying, what the poll from CNN is saying, and what Michael Strain was saying on the CNN, the CBS broadcast, people don't get it. They're not plugged in enough to get it. They're buying into this sort of puff and pomp and circumstance, but not digging in to the subject and understanding what the hell is really going on very important matters: national security, the economy, tariffs, education. And I'll stop at that point by saying this. We need to have a better educated society. Because who is it that Trump likes? The uninformed. What do they say? The uninformed. I like the undereducated. For obvious reasons. So let's get behind our universities and push them to push back as much as we get behind our elected officials. We're going to take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Hey, get in.
What? Who are you?
I'm future you.
Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, a low near 53. Friday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 73 degrees. Then by Saturday, mostly sunny, high of 55. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 68 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 55.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to the show, 773-763-9278. And yes, this is Choose Views. So in this segment, Michelle's going to be calling in a bit, we're going to be talking about this these latest changes that are taking place, are going to be taking place here in Illinois as it relates to our Senate seat and one of the congressional seats. And don't get fooled by the okie doke. I know that a lot of people are trying to figure out why this is happening and so forth and so on. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I did ask you guys again. I'd like to hear what you have to say in terms of wherever you are in the country. Our politics now have become for lack of better words, a national conversation. And if not, we need to be moving in a direction where we know who our representatives are in our particular state. And some states have a number of districts, so it's a lot to remember. But we should be willing to go and find out who they are and know what that means when a representative is up for election, and which is every 2 years. But if there's something that's transitioning, like taking place here in Illinois with Representative Schakowsky's seat, and of course our senators are easy to remember or know because there's 50 of them. And so, you know, we want to make sure that, I guess the point I'm making is, coming back to Illinois, if you're anywhere in the country, these are going to be two important elections, a state seat and a district seat. The reason that it is an important seat from a Senate standpoint is Durbin's leadership role in the Democratic Party is one of the big reasons. The other is keeping the balance of the Senate as strong as we can by making sure that we hold this seat. Now, the House of Representatives position or seat is one that we also need to hold. We need to hold them all. So I don't need to belabor that point. We need to hold them all, not just one here, one there. But I do want to, when Michelle's on, I do want to talk about how what this can look like with some of the transitions that can take place. And hey guys, don't believe the hype, no matter where it's coming from. I know earlier in the week I posted this article on Substack about it was a message to David Hogg and the Young Guns. David Hogg's threat is not why Jan Schakowsky stepped down, and neither is it why Senator Durbin is not going to run again. They're not stepping down. They're not going to run again. That's not the reason why, because the people who are going to run, yes, we're going to have younger. What just happened is the names are going to get younger. That's just the natural progression. Than two 80-year-old representative and senators. That's just a natural occurrence at this point. There's not going to be an 80-year-old running for those seats. So let's not get it twisted. And if it's not clear, I have issues with the way in which David Hogg is approaching this. I made that clear in my Substack. And I have issues because leverage the energy, the knowledge, and the history of those that have come before you. Don't think you can kick them to the curb. Okay? That's not a working plan. It's not even close to being a working plan. That's all I'm saying. Leverage the history and the strength of those that came before you. Don't feel like you can kick them to the curb any more than you want them to hold you back from progress and moving forward. And so, to that end, we do need new blood in the Democratic Party to step to the mic and move us forward. I'm excited about it. I had a nice banter with my good friend Eric Grant from the Family Meeting, and our good friend Natalie Ziemba from who's one of the city council people from Woodstock about our thoughts on these transitions. So young blood coming into the conversation is exciting and great, but don't think for a minute that suddenly because of David Hogg's supposed threat that's the reason that Jan Schakowsky is not running again, and that Dick Durbin's not running again. These are decisions that they were planning for a while, and I know that from good sources. Trust me on that. All right. Is Michelle here? She's with us? All righty. Good morning, Michelle Peltier, co-host of the Family Meeting and Choose Views contributor.
Good morning, Richard Choose Views.
How are you?
I'm good today. I have a morning voice, but I'm good today.
Excellent.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to chat with you this morning. I know we do this together, candidly, not really, but we can. Michelle can make it happen quickly, y'all. Just in case you didn't know. But
don't hype me up too much, Richard.
Well, listen. Let me play. So we two big announcements yesterday, and those are obvious. One being that Senator Dick Durbin is not going to run again. He's setting forth his retirement. And Representative Jan Schakowsky, same thing, planning to make the formal announcement on May 5th. These are big shifts, and shifts that a lot of people have been calling for a while. And now here they are in front of us. And I just want to kind of get your take on what you're seeing in this transition and what your observations are. And let's start with Durbin.
So I'm a transplant, as you know, and I moved here in 2002. And back then I was really, really paying attention to politics, and that was kind of the beginning. After I was here for a while, it was the beginning of Barack Obama running for that U.S. Senate seat, and that's when I became familiar with Dick Durbin. And he was then, I think, on his ending his first term. And so all of my recollections for Dick Durbin have been positive. But I have to really be honest and say I think it's time. I think he represented us very well, but I think it's time. I think it's time for both of them. And I don't want to do the ageism thing, but I do think it's time for Illinois to have some young blood. But we've had two people who have represented us very well. I think in terms of politicians and just my experience from being from Missouri and here, we've had some really good representation here in Illinois. So we should be proud of both of them, but I do think it's time for both of them to kind of hang up the hat.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that some of the back channel part of this with Durbin, Senator Durbin, is situation with his daughter. The life changes have really been impactful on him, and he had been very, very effective. Has been very, very effective, and held that seat well. So this is not going to be about bashing Dick Durbin. I was disappointed in his vote earlier this year on the continuing resolution. And I made that perfectly clear on the show. And I think that was not the right thing to do. I just don't agree with that.
I agree with you.
But we'll talk about replacements and all that in a moment. But so let's talk about a little bit about Jan Schakowsky. I mean, you may have some similar sentiments for and about her, but what are your thoughts there?
I felt that during her time, she was a very brave woman. She was very outspoken. She would go, from what I know of her and my familiarity with her, she's been a very outspoken woman. She's a woman's woman, meaning she lifts women up, and I'm a fan of hers. I've been a fan of hers.
Yeah, she took some hits recently. Really, she's taken some hits the last couple of years since the war broke out in the Middle East, in Gaza. Being of Jewish heritage, she was kind of rolled into the all Jews are attacking Palestinians conversation. She got sort of drafted up into that, and I witnessed it firsthand, personally, at an event last March up in McHenry County at the McHenry County Democratic Women's event that I attended, where she got pulled into this. She's Jewish, so she's all Jews hate Palestinians, and on and on and on. So that's been a challenge for her from my own conversations with her in the last year plus. And
Richard, what happened at that event?
There were 9 folks that were protesters at the event, and the minute that she took the mic at the podium, they went after her verbally. They pulled out flags and started yelling at her, calling her names. And this was last May. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Last March of 2024, and they went. It was in a organized, synchronized way where once one person got escorted out, then another person stood up, and this went on for probably the better part of 25 to 30 minutes. Maybe it wasn't that long. My memory seems like it went on that long, but and it was a women's event. And this is not meant to sound any sort of gender bias, but I think they targeted this event because they made the assumption that there probably wouldn't be a lot of other than women there.
Sure.
And so y'all don't take that the wrong way. But the point of it all is, they came after her. Lieutenant Governor Stratton was there as well, and she had already left. So it was clearly targeting Representative Schakowsky because of her Jewish heritage. That being said, and I was there, so I'm clear on my thinking on that. I'm not guessing that that's what happened. I saw it because I was one of the people to help escort, one of the 7 men that were there to help escort out the people who were protesting. I'm down with protesting, but the way in which they went about it, and it was kind of cheesy and cheap. But again, I don't want to get distracted on the point of talking about replacing these 2 long-serving members of Congress. I think they both did a great job. Durbin's recent time has not been as effective as he could have been, and many criticisms of him. And I'm in that camp with certain issues where I think he should have been criticized for. And most recently, the vote was one that was, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of the supporters.
Yeah,
and he's 80 years old. I mean, this is where people get caught up in. I'm going to say this so that the folks who did not quite get the gist of my article about David Hogg is this. Just because you're older chronologically does not mean you're not effective, okay? It does not mean you're not effective. It means you're older, but it doesn't mean you're not effective. By contrast, just because you're younger and energized doesn't mean that you're going to be effective. And so,
well, there's a bridge to build, right? Because I read your Substack and it was excellent. I hope that you send it directly to David, because I think that they don't understand, and this is not a bash on young people because we appreciate and love them, but I think the disconnect is the institutional memory that they don't understand that they need, because if they don't have it, what young people do is, instead of asking the question, did you do this before? Did it work? That kind of thing. They have a tendency to recreate something that we've already tried, right? But because they didn't ask the question, they don't know, so they start all over again. So institutional memory is so important, and I think that young people just would rather throw all of that memory out so that they can put their stink on their own thing, and it's a waste of time.
Yeah, and that's not an indictment of young people. It's an indictment of the thought process, because an older person can be of that same way, which is, let's keep doing what we've been doing because it's what we've been doing. So I wanted to be, and I'm going to be repeatedly clear with people, I am not bashing anybody. I'm bashing a thought process and a methodology from both groups. Older folks that are staying stuck and younger folks that want to kick people to the curb. You can't kick knowledge and wisdom to the curb. And older folks can't hold down energy and excitement. If there's a concern, and I said this to my wonderful wife Ann yesterday after this announcement. I said, if there is a disappointment or a frustration that we need to fix with the Democratic leadership, it's doing a better job of bringing folks into the tent sooner, bringing that younger energy and that younger excitement in sooner. Because if we don't do that, they feel like, and I hate to make this they, us, them, an individual's going to feel, or a group's going to feel like you're holding them back. And
that's the issue. I mean, I'm sure that you have been in this same position. When I was in Kansas City, Missouri, I was very political. And there were a group of us that were very political, and we wanted to do things and get our hands dirty. And the older folks would not let us. They would bring their family and some of their friends and who may or may not have been politically interested or active, and that was it. But the people who were saying, come on, we want to come in, knock, 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 we want to come in. And I see that happening with our party, right, that they just don't want to let the younger people. And I'm old now, so I'm not even one of the young people.
Yeah. Well,
but I do think that there is no reaching back and pulling up in our party.
There needs to be more of that, and there isn't in politics in general, either party. But we can't blame. I'm sorry. We have to take responsibility for our actions and make that happen, and make sure that we're reaching back. At the same time, our younger aspiring leaders should want to reach forward And you know, the analogy I gave in my article was when Magic Johnson when he was drafted by the Lakers and he was a rookie, he was a star already. Everybody knew who Magic was. But Magic also recognized that when he got to the Lakers, that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the captain of that team. And for him to embrace that wisdom and to then bring his young energy into the fold, it made the Lakers unstoppable for a while. But that's also because of the leadership that was part of the Lakers organization at the time. So my broader point is we have to embrace and encourage our young leaders to come on and do your thing. We got you. At the same time, we would hope that they would reach out to us and say, all right, help me make sure I don't step in this pile of doo-doo over here since you've walked this path before. And that's, you know, and that message, I believe, has to come from the Democratic leadership voices that are the older voices. And so that's kind of where I am in this space. Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
This is one of those strategic questions, and I have my thoughts about it, but I want to sort of ask.
Oh, no.
No. Who do you want and who do you think would be the next great senator from the state of Illinois? And who do you want and who do you think could be the next great representative for the district that Jan Schakowsky is going to be leaving?
You know, so the possibilities are our state treasurer, Alexi, right? Our lieutenant governor, I think, too. I think, people have some challenges with Kwame. I think he might throw his hat in the ring. But you know who I really am energized by recently, and that's the founder of My Block, My City, My Hood. I think that might be a big leap for him, but I really think that as a grassroots organizer and as somebody who cares about community, I think he'd be exciting just to see him kind of just stick his toe in the water.
Yeah, Jamal is definitely he's doing some great stuff right now, and we've had him on the show, and he's definitely one of those voices that is that young energy that we've been talking about. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if we have the time to play this, but Lieutenant Governor Stratton has not only tossed her hat into the ring, she put out a video this morning that we got an early version of it. Can we play that, Henry? Check this out, Michelle. This is coming from Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton.
Okay.
Trump took power. It's been nonstop news, nonstop chaos, and nonstop crisis. And that's not by accident. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to distract us, to create such a mess that we don't even know where to start. But in Washington, they're still doing the same old things they've always done. And that old playbook isn't working. I'm Juliana Stratton, the daughter of a teacher and a Navy veteran from the South Side of Chicago, and the proud mom of 4. My story isn't the story of a typical senator. Then again, typical isn't what we need right now. My journey to public service was inspired by serving as the primary caregiver for my mom when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Bruce Rauner was trying to cut health care for seniors like her, so I decided to run for state representative, and I won. When I got to Springfield, I brought the voices of working families with me, and when J.B. Pritzker asked me to be his lieutenant governor, we got to work to improve the lives of people across Illinois. We raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, created thousands of jobs with the largest infrastructure investment in state history, passed some of the strongest gun safety laws in the country, and enshrined abortion rights into law, making Illinois a safe haven and protecting the rights of women. And while Trump and Republicans in D.C. have proposed cutting nearly $1 trillion in health care, in Illinois, we've wiped away medical debt. While their reckless tariffs make prices skyrocket, we've eliminated the grocery tax for families across Illinois. They like to talk. We've actually gotten things done. Now I'm running for Senate because the only way out of this mess is to bring new energy, new voices, and new leaders who understand the lives of working people. Join our campaign, and together we can stop Trump and stand up for Illinois.
What do you think?
Nice. Very nice.
Very well done. I was honored to get that this morning. Okay, so I'm going to talk strategics, strategery.
Okay.
All right. I think strategically, there's a lot that can shift. Will shift very quickly with this. This is a big deal because of who could ascend and be elected to this Senate seat and also to the House seat. And I mean for Illinois and for the country. And let me break this down as quickly as I can.
Okay.
We have to protect some turf. And I'm a fan. I've met Representative Lauren Underwood, and she would make a great senator. And I'm a strong believer in what she can do in the House, as she's been doing, and certainly as she became the senator. But strategically, that district is a purple district. And if she were to run and win the Senate seat, but we lose a House seat, that's not a good thing.
It's not.
And so I'm not saying she shouldn't run. I'm saying this is what the outcome would be if she were to run and we don't have a quote candidate that would replace her. That's a Democratic House member of the House of Representatives. That's a real thing, y'all. One vote can make the difference in the lives of millions of people. So although I'm a fan of hers, I've met with her, I've sat at dinner with her, strategically, I think that could be a little challenging. Some of our state people, Kwame Raoul, Alexi, they would be great. No questions asked about that. But I think strategically, we've got to make sure we hold on to that seat. I'm not saying that Lauren shouldn't run or wouldn't be capable. She'd be great. I just think that we've got to make sure that we can replace her if that's the case. Now, in the state of Illinois, and then again, I'm talking about the Senate seat, the upside of Lieutenant Governor Stratton winning that seat is that she's got legislative bona fides out the wazoo. She has gotten it done as the co-executive of a big state, and often and she's won statewide office. And people can say, yeah, but JB's the governor, and I get all that, but she has that statewide appeal. Not that the others don't. Nobody get me wrong there. I'm saying strategically that is an opportunity, and it doesn't. The state constitution, basically keeps the lieutenant governor's position open so that, we don't lose any momentum there. The backside of this is if J.B. Pritzker were to run for president, doesn't go for another term, then we've got a governor's race, but we've got some strong players in that position. For example, Kwame Raoul is the AG. Gosh, why am I drawing a blank on her name? Our state comptroller. I apologize that I can't think of her name. She's been on our show. Susanna Mendoza. I mean, we've got some strong people that could run for governor if JB decides to run and Lieutenant Governor Stratton becomes a senator. So
let me just add this, if I may.
Go ahead.
So I feel like our governor has done a really good job of lifting Ms. Stratton up. I've noticed it the past year. So when we're talking about bringing people up, and I think he's given her a really nice platform. I think that I felt like he was probably grooming her to be his successor. But he may be grooming her for anything else. But I think he's a good example of mentoring and bringing somebody along and having them on his platform so that we get to know her too. I think that he did a good job with that. I think she's, as you mentioned, she's recognizable throughout the state because of that platform that he's given her.
Yeah. Daniel Biss is my potential in terms of congressional districts person, the mayor of Evanston. That would be a good candidate for Representative Schakowsky's seat. He's known in the district. He's known in obviously the mayor of Evanston. He's known in the city of Chicago, and I think that he would be a good representative. But he also has a name recognition that could push him forward. I'm not saying.
Yeah, and he's pretty young.
Yeah, he's 40. I think he's 47 years old. So I think 47, 48 years old. So therein lies me being somewhat trying to be strategic in this space. I just think that we have to make the decision that is one about people who are capable, that are going to get it done, that have the energy, all those things that we laid out. And strategically, we've got to look at this and say, how do the chess pieces move, not just today, but down the road? I'm always looking like, okay, you know this about me. Like, what am I going to run into? So, to that end, I'm hoping that the Democratic leadership here in the state and nationally will look at this and say, okay, we got to hold some seats. We've got to put people in place that are going to allow us to keep some seats and grow that base, because Daniel Biss brings a large energy to that potential race if he decides to run. Lieutenant Governor Stratton has the legislative prowess, and then we don't lose potentially the seat that Lauren Underwood currently has, because I think she would get reelected in that congressional seat. So that's kind of how I see it. Michelle, we got to take a quick break. We're at 7 o'clock, and I've blown right through the top.
I'm sorry. I had another question.
So stay with us. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Advertisement sponsored by Allied Injury Group, not available in all states. This important message from Allied Injury Group reminds you that if you or someone you love was injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, you deserve financial compensation for your medical expenses, lost wages, pain, and suffering. Don't rely on insurance companies to look out for you. If you haven't spoken to an attorney, call our legal experts now. Work accident, truck accident, collision with an uninsured driver, or a slip and fall. Allied Injury Group has helped clients win hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. They're available 24/7 to take your call and fight for you. Remember, if you or someone you love suffered injuries in an accident that wasn't your fault, like being struck by a drunk driver, a collision with an 18-wheeler, were a victim of workplace negligence or more, get the financial compensation you deserve. Call Allied Injury Group for a free consultation now.
Call 800-818-2581. That's 800-818-2581. Again, 800-818-2581. This is a WCPT 820 Heartland Signal News Minute.
I can't sugarcoat it. I mean, it has not been the easiest start to the year.
That's Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton speaking recently to WCPT's Richard Chu.
In so many ways, we've seen Donald Trump really dragging the American people through what I've been calling a 5-alarm fire. Look at what's happening with this ongoing and escalating trade war, where prices are rising because of Donald Trump. But in Illinois, we're bringing prices down. We eliminated the grocery tax, so we're bringing prices down. When Trump has slashed tens of thousands of jobs, including jobs held by our veterans. I mean, it's unconscionable, but yet in Illinois, we've created thousands of new jobs by investing in 21st century technologies.
For WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal, I'm Andy Miles.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Pakistan announced they've suspended trade with India and canceled visas for Indian nationals. They've also closed its airspace for Indian-owned and Indian-operated airlines. The retaliatory measures come after India also suspended visas for Pakistani nationals after gunmen killed 26 tourists and wounded 17 in Pahalgam inside Indian-controlled Kashmir. India has blamed Pakistan for the tragedy. Pakistan denied any connection to the attack. Thousands have walked through the doors of St. Peter's Basilica to see Pope Francis one last time before his funeral Saturday.
The somber chatter of hundreds of pilgrims peppered the early morning twilight as they lined up outside St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. Waiting outside, Mexican faithful Emiliano Fernandez told the AP,
I've been here for 2 hours now already, and we're not even in there yet.
Thousands of people have been lining up in St. Peter's Square since early Wednesday morning. Some, like Emiliano, have been waiting hours to enter the basilica where Francis's open casket has been set in front of the main altar. US faithful Lana Klein described the atmosphere inside St. Peter's.
Walking in there, it was so silent, but you could feel
how much people really cared about him.
The public mourning period will end on Friday at 7 p.m. local time. Cardinals have been meeting at the Vatican to schedule Francis's funeral and burial, plan the conclave to elect his successor, and make other decisions about running the Catholic Church. I'm Karen Shamas.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky cut his official trip to South Africa short on Thursday after a major Russian strike hit the capital of Kyiv. At least 9 people were killed and 70 injured. The attack came hours after negotiations for a peace deal have appeared to stall with no agreement in sight. President Trump lashed out at Zelensky on Wednesday, accusing him of prolonging the war by refusing to surrender Russia-occupied Crimea as part of a possible deal. This is AP News. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports the world's coral reefs are being hit by the worst bleaching event on record.
Coral reefs are some of the planet's most spectacular havens of life. From fish to turtles to the corals themselves, approximately 25% of all marine species can be found in and around reefs. Coral get their bright colors from the algae living inside them, providing a food source. But prolonged warmth causes the algae to release toxic compounds, and the coral eject them, left behind a stark white skeleton, the weakened coral at risk of dying. That process, known as bleaching, turns these colorful havens into boneyards. Now, scientists report 84% of the world's coral reefs are being hit by bleaching, the most intense event of its kind in recorded history. I'm Ben Thomas.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, a low near 53. Friday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 73 degrees. Then by Saturday, mostly sunny, high of 55. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 68 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57. Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. And we have our good friend, Michelle Peltier, on with us this morning, chopping it up about what's happening with some of our state officials here in the great state of Illinois. So, Michelle, before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit about the strategery of these moves, and I guess the reason that I've leaned in hard to Lieutenant Governor Stratton is I think she's fantastic. I will. My wife Ann, we were at this same event last year, and she spoke, and Ann said, "Wow." She is the next something or other. And so I think that I think it's the right time for her type of personality, her type of energy, her type of leadership, her history. She can connect to the past and pull the future together, I believe. And so I'm excited. And I know I'm way past the point of my life where I need to tiptoe around this. I would love to see her as our U.S. Senator. I would love to see Lauren Underwood as our U.S. Senator. And the list goes on because we have a good bench. See, this is that moment where I think we can say we've got a good bench, and we can acknowledge that both on the Senate seat and this House seat. What say you?
So, Richard, can I ask you a question? What do you think that Rahm is doing right now? Why do you think he's suddenly You know, because he's everywhere now. Why do you think?
Don't get me started on that, because I'm not a fan of his. And I was at one point. I think he would be tragically wrong and caustic as hell. And if I listen, met the dude, worked on it, but he caused some hell in the city of Chicago.
Yes,
I do not, and I'm listen. There might be people running around saying, "Oh, but Richard Rahm did this." Okay, and don't come at me with, "Yeah, but Mayor Johnson." We're not talking about that. Let me be perfectly clear for you, for those who want to go down that path. You know what? Come on down that path. I'll welcome you down that path, and let's see what happens. See what happens. No. Rahm Emanuel, no. For U.S.
How about
Senator,
one more no?
One more no. With the capital N and a capital O and a capital 10,000 exclamation points. No.
We got to be ready for it though, because he's sniffing around.
He's got a large war chest, and he's got the wrong people throwing money at him. So he's the wrong. See, this is where what David Hogg is saying, I agree with. This big money coming from the wrong sources is bad, and and Ron would be the poster child of that. Because he's the wrong candidate, and he's got to have a lot of big money coming from bad sources in this environment that we're in right now. He indirectly is part of the reason that we are here.
Yes.
Now, I know a lot of people like, yeah, but Rich, he helped. Okay. Y'all want me to talk about getting rid of the old? Well, see, this is a person that's got a ton of energy, Rahm Emanuel. Ton of energy. Lots to say. But he's got the wrong energy, and it's bad energy right now.
Yes.
So you asked my opinion, so I'm telling you. And that's
I was hoping that you would do what you just did.
Well, and it's my opinion. It's my opinion, y'all. Yeah. I recognize that. But there are people in California, there are people in Washington, there are people in New York, all across this country that follow progressive politics that will tell you, yeah, we don't want him either. And that's why I asked the question earlier. Wherever you are in the country, this Senate seat in Illinois and this House seat in Illinois matters to the country as much as it matters to the state, of course. But in our politics today, it matters to the country that we have the right person, plural, in these two seats. We can't muck around with this and tiptoe around. We have to have the right. If we're going to make, as a progressive liberal Democratic Party, if we're going to make, we keep talking about these changes and doing it differently. Well, the change means not just someone chronologically younger. It means someone that's going to represent what we've been talking about needs to change. And I think,
somebody who is truly a public servant. I think that Dick Durbin and Schakowsky were public servants, right? They represented their constituents, and I feel like that's the problem now. These people are going and running for office and getting in office, and they don't give a hoot about who they represent. They're not talking to them, as we can see now by these town hall meetings. And I think it's very tragic that we have moved to this point where nobody cares about the people. And I'm like, hello? I pay your salary.
Bueller?
Right. Hello.
Listen, Representative Schakowsky, she wielded that position well. She represented her constituents. No joke, no doubt about it. And so she's. I love the way you put it. She's a woman's woman. She's a woman's politician. Also, she knew how to get that thing done. And I've been honored to hang out with her on a couple different occasions before she became the congresswoman that we know today. So I'm thrilled that she has done such a great job, and that she's stepping aside, and that she's ready to open that path for whoever comes in to fill that seat. So I think it's an exciting time for the Democratic Party to look at this and say, okay, because there's some others, and I don't know what I did on my list. There's a few others that are stepping aside in other states, and I think that this is that time. So we should embrace it, not from a finger pointing standpoint. We should embrace it from, okay, folks are hearing the message. Now let's embrace that they're hearing the message, and let's take this and run hard and run through the finish line, to use a sports analogy, to get this done, to make these changes. Because I don't know if you heard me earlier, the clips that I played about independents, they're vomiting on Trump, just that the media is not making it a big deal. His old boy Scaramucci.
I didn't do that.
And then the conservative economists. That's the conversation that we have to have. We have to talk to people that are saying the things about Trump that are not traditionally people that would say things about Trump. What say you?
Agreed. I agree. I mean, that's what we need. We need people to say that the emperor has on no clothes, right? And I feel right now.
That's nasty, Michelle.
But it is nasty, yes. He is a nasty person. He's nasty. And we don't want to imagine him without any clothes, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there aren't enough people who are saying, look, this is madness. Why isn't anybody paying attention? And I feel like the media is complicit at this point. I'm surprised when I read articles that say they're surprised that he did something crazy, right? Why are people still surprised that the madness is continuing, right? So we need people like Jasmine Crockett and, AOC and all these other young people to come up and say, look, this is crazy. What are we doing?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we have an opportunity now to get some young people or some newer blood into these seats here in Illinois.
Mallory McMorrow in Michigan, she's thrown her hat in the ring for the Senate seat, in one of the Senate seats in Michigan. So I'm excited about that for her. She's a state senator now, but she brings that kind of energy. She brings that kind of strength and some legislative success in the state of Michigan, which is near and dear to my heart. You know who else, Michelle, is I read this late yesterday, that is a former Republican that has made it clear that he is now switching to the Democratic Party and is ready to take on the fight to the governor's race in Florida. David Jolly.
I did not know that, Richard. I love him.
Yep. He's cut the cord. He's no longer kind of in the middle, but leaning toward. He's cut the cord and said, I am officially changing my affiliation to the Democratic Party. And he wants to take on DeSantis, from what I read. I vetted it out as best I could. That's exciting. That
is so exciting. I tell you what, I have watched his transformation, and he's become quite the voice on the Democratic side. I'm excited to hear that. I did not know that, Richard. That's great. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And that goes back to what we were saying, that we need to have more people that are going to be willing unapologetically to speak the truth about the craziness that's going on. I love your statement about the emperor has no clothes. And it's true. I mean, we joke about it because we know that's nasty, but at the same time, we know that how he's being is unpleasant to the country. And we have to be, in my humble opinion, willing to use a military analogy, to dress him down and make sure that every time a political voice speaks about where we are, it's dressing Donald Trump down first. That's the first thing that should happen. What comes out of the mouths of every single person that's running for office or that has a voice, it needs to be how awful he is. That should be the opening,
Yes, for everybody.
For everybody. Mm-hmm. It's not let's tiptoe up to it. No, grab the mic and say Donald Trump sucks. He's awful. Yeah. His administration is awful. They all are stinky.
And he hates you. Right. He does not like you. He doesn't want to do anything for you. Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
That's the thing. I was having this conversation again with one of my brothers-in-law last night, and I was like, listen, man, the people that said that they voted for this, we know the story now. They realize, this is the thing, they realize they got bamboozled or they were willfully ignorant or just flat out stupid. The problem is not enough of them are willing to admit it and say, Yeah, man. It wasn't really about eggs and gas and all that. It was because, I thought that the white dude was going to be the one to get it done. And in less than 3 months, he's wrecked your lives.
Yep.
Say that. Yep. Make that the first thing out of your damn mouth.
Every day, sun up to sunrise. I agree. And nobody's doing that enough but you.
and Lieutenant Governor Stratton.
Yes.
That clip that she cut was right. If you see that, you got to see the visual, the video part of it. She's standing on the picture of Donald Trump with black heels on. It's cool. It's real. No, I'm serious. Henry and I are in here cracking up because she stands on a picture of his face with black heels
that
on.
Is so beautiful. I love it so much.
Anybody that wants the clip, you need to email me at richard@wcpt820.com, and I will send it to you. So you've got a first run edition. Yes, I will send it to anybody that wants it so you can have it. And it's certainly about Lieutenant Governor Stratton's announcement, but it's also about just the visual of her standing on a picture of Donald Trump's face. I love it.
I love it too.
Let's take a quick break, Michelle. 773-763-9278. Guys, we'll be right back.
Fear. It is the common denominator of people. Though we may not admit to it, we all have a fear. Right now, a lot of us fear the path of our country. Will war be inevitable? Can we buy a home? Will we have food on the table? This is Dr. Anna Pellet from Total Dentistry. Though we can't answer those concerns, we can help you in getting over the fear of your dental visit. Fear should not be an obstacle. Nothing should. Here at Total Dentistry, we walk you through all aspects of your dental visit. We will ask you, what are you comfortable with? And what will it take to get you comfortable through your treatment? Pain, fear, and anxiety are unique to every individual. So our strategies at Total Dentistry are unique and customized to your needs. Transparent discussions, helping you find the needs to get to your health goals, that is our goal. So visit us at totaldentistry.org or call 847-358-2477. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
It's Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. Great to have our great friend Michelle Peltier with us this morning, one of the co-hosts of the family meeting.
Oh, yes. I'm in the sidecar. Thank you very much.
That's all right. It's still without the sidecar, it'll tip over. So
that's right. I love being in the sidecar.
Well, I've gotten a number of texts from people that say, "Yeah, Michelle's on."
Oh, stop. That's so funny to me.
They love the giggles. So there you go. And Michelle and I are going to be making an announcement in the very, very near future, but we'll just tease you guys with that. So there you go. So I'm hoping, Michelle, with all my heart that the Democratic Party and leadership get this right. This is a big deal because it's Illinois. But it's strategically, it has to be done the right way. And not just for right now, but for the future of elections in the state, but on a national level. It will clear the path for some people to ascend, and it will allow some people to that haven't been in the mix to get in the mix and make a difference. So I hope they get this right.
I agree. I think it's an exciting time for Illinois if we make it that way, right? We've got some interesting and good people who are considering. And this part is the fun part, right? Watching and learning more about all of these different people and how they navigate this opportunity. And so I'm looking forward to a good and interesting battle for these two seats.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's some people that are going to throw their hat in for Jan Schakowsky's seat, and I'm not certain who's going to be the front runner in that. But it's got to be somebody that can carry the bucket of water that she's been carrying for a while.
Absolutely.
And it can't be somebody that's just going to listen. There's a value to yelling and screaming and pounding. There's value in that, but to an end. There has to be, all right, where is this taking us? So I don't want to see, again, this goes back to what we were saying before. It's not about chronological young or old. It is, if there's a young voice that's going to step into that space, younger voice, and that younger voice has got to be able to bring something to the party rather than just, yelling and screaming,
Yes.
And
I agree.
And
we can't just be performative anymore.
No, not at all. And that's why I'm going to be very, very selective in the persons that run for Jan Schakowsky's seat, because those are big shoes to follow, and that's in that small body of hers.
I know. She's itty bitty.
Yeah, she's itty bitty. But she's been a fighter, so we'll figure out a way to get her on the show in this transition. But it's an exciting time, and I want to see progressive liberal Democrats take this and make it even more exciting. Use this energy and look around the country, Michelle, and see where we have opportunities to put people in a position where they can win. I mean,
yes.
I think, maybe I'm crazy, but I think this is a huge opportunity. Mallory, David Jolly, here in Illinois and in other states, we got so many opportunities to take back the state, on a state legislative standpoint, states, plural, and to take back the federal government by getting the people in that are going to knock over tables, with the objective being to fix things, not just to knock over the tables. You can do both, I believe.
Yes, I agree. And I agree too, Richard, that this is an exciting time, because honestly, I'm scared for 2026. If we don't get it right, even if I don't even know if we'll get to vote. Remember what DT said, vote this one time and you won't have to worry about voting anymore. So we don't know what they're doing, right? But I think our goal should be to get some sturdy, smart, compassionate candidates who can speak truth to power and do the thing for all of us, right? We have to look at this as an opportunity, and I think it is. It's exciting.
Yeah, it definitely is. So listen, I'm going to hit this break because we got a commissioner that's going to be on with us in the 7:30 hour, and I want to be able to make sure we got things squared away. But Michelle Peltier, Road Doggette, thank you for being with us this morning to chop this up about what's happening with our local stuff and how we really need to be participants in this process and make sure we get this done the right way.
It was my pleasure. Anything for you, my friend.
Always, always. Thanks, Michelle. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of the day.
You too, Richard.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There it is, y'all. Michelle Peltier, co-host of the Family Meeting, and my I'm going to sit in for Richard person. Y'all know Michelle. But yeah, she's right. She's right about we've got to get this right. And she's right about the fact that it's an exciting time, but it's also a time where, as I said, we've got to make sure that the people that we're putting in now have gotten the message, no matter what their chronological age is, but that they're effective. And no apologies in this space. I'm excited about Lieutenant Governor Stratton and her announcement, because I think she would make a fantastic U.S. Senator from the state of Illinois. And it then it's going to require some threading of the needle as it relates to if J.B. Pritzker then runs for president. But, we've got some strong players. We've got a strong bench. So we need to maximize and utilize the players that we have there. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Of course, the number here is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Skies will become mostly sunny here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a chance for rain showers late, cloudy, a low near 53. Friday, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 73 degrees. Then by Saturday, mostly sunny, high of 55. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 68 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 61.
The family meeting.
I mean, you got two old white dudes.
You have one that cares about the country and another one that doesn't.
Yeah, but he's so damn old.
You know what? But it's what we have.
I get it.
It's not the lesser of two evils for me.
It's not two evils. I agree with you. There's only one evil. I agree with you there.
Sundays 4 to 6 p.m., the family meeting. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose View with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. No matter how you look at it, Illinois, I say this all the time. Yes, I'm a homer when it comes to this, but I'm going to represent my state, my city, my block, my hood, to give Jamal his props. We've got great leaders in our state. And whether it be on a state level, whether it be on a city level, or in our counties. And with us this morning is someone who's been with us before, and that's Cook County Commissioner Josina Morita from the 13th District. Welcome to the show, Commissioner. How are you this morning?
Good to be back. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, people, I got to tell you, when we had you on last time, people were like, I got to get that website that you gave us last time.
The www.milliongallonchallenge.com.
There it is. We're going to start off right there because people were like, Richard, I missed that. And it's monumental to have something like that where people can be an active participant in the process. And so we appreciate what you left us with last time. You've got some other stuff happening right now. And when I say great leaders, let me just back up for a second. I have to give you the Richard Chu high five and big hug because our county commissioners don't, in my opinion, don't get enough recognition for the work that you guys do to make sure that the county of Cook works well. Because as Cook County goes in many ways, so does Chicago, but also the collar counties and the rest of the state. Because Cook County, as I've said before, and you know this because you're there, is the second largest county in America. So shout out to you, Madam Commissioner, for the work that you get done. Talk to us about what you and President Preckwinkle are doing right now in terms of this kickoff with regard to language access.
Yeah, and shout out to President Preckwinkle. I mean, what she has done with Cook County government under her leadership, transforming it into, I think, a model of what government can and should be, both fiscally responsible, right? We have a balanced budget, 3 credit rating upgrades, but still investing in communities, the largest guaranteed income program in the country. And so kudos to her. It's been an honor to join and to work on language access with her. We just launched Cook County's first Language Access Month here in April. And I think, we're living in difficult times, on so many different levels. The president issued an executive order about a month ago establishing English as the national language and rolling back so many of the mandates that existed before. If you got federal funding, you were required to provide translation and interpretation, and he took that away. And we in Cook County are proud to say we're not going back. We're actually going to go forward, and we're investing in language access for the residents of Cook County in a way that we've never done before. There's 100 languages spoken just in my district. And so if people cannot get the information and resources in their language, none of us are safe. None of us are as good as we could be.
I am such an advocate of education, and this is to me, this is part of education. And maybe you think I'm crazy in saying it that way, but this is part of education. What are we afraid of as a country to have? Because here's what happens, Madam Commissioner. You know how sometimes certain people get just lauded over about, oh, she speaks 5 languages, or oh, that person speaking of the now First Lady speaks 5 languages. However, when it comes to the other languages and other people being proficient in speaking languages, which I think is a part of education, they got no time for it. You know, it's insanity. It's hypocrisy, I think.
Yeah, and as we know, right, there are languages that people are like, oh, that's so beautiful. And then there's other languages people will just feel like that's, something that they don't want to deal with. There's a lot of racism and bias within, the different languages, but it's very essential, right? There's nothing more basic than the right to be understood, the right to communicate, and really to be respected. And that's why this initiative is so important. It's, in a time like this where so many of our immigrant communities are afraid, feel rejected, this is a way to say you are welcome here in their language, and make sure that they have the resources and information that everybody needs and everybody deserves, right? Like for me, I'm not safe if my neighbor can't call 911. Mm-hmm. We're not safe and healthy if our neighbors don't know what social distancing is. And everybody should have a right to, have the information, have access to their government. And you can't do that if you can't communicate.
Yeah. You've been a leader in another thing that a lot of people don't know about, and that's the ordinance to recognize that language, do I have this right, language as a protected class?
Yeah. So again, when Trump rolled a lot of these things back, we had to say, okay, what can we do here in Cook County? And so while we launched Language Access Month in April, it's been a series of, ordinances and policy changes and investments over the last few years. Even before I came onto the board, Commissioners Britton and Kevin Morrison expanded the number of languages on the ballot when you go vote. We passed our first language access policy back, I think, in 2021. We now have our own contract with translation and interpretation services in over 100 languages that Cook County government has access to, including commissioners in our districts. And we also amended our human rights ordinance to add language explicitly as a protected class, to make sure that, this is something, taking a firm public stance on language discrimination, but also giving our Department of Human Rights the tools to then be able to enforce it, which we didn't have before. And so as we welcome, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, as we start to welcome people to the county building, while we are proactively saying you are welcome here, we're working with all of the separately electeds, in different offices in the county building to provide translation interpretation. If for some reason we fail, that there is a backstop, that there is somebody to advocate for folks who are denied or delayed services because they don't speak English.
Yeah, and that's a tragedy when that happens, because all they're trying to do is just be helped so they can move forward. They can be there to be representative of their family, take care of their families, and to have language be the barrier to stop that is just, it's irresponsible for a country like this that says it's as great as it is. Madam Commissioner, talk a little bit about the I Speak cards that are part of this program.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, language access and language discrimination really is a silent form of discrimination, right? Because if you can't communicate, you can't complain, you can't advocate. And one thing that we saw, just working in the county building is I would see people just kind of lost. It's a hard building to navigate. Half of it's City Hall, half of it's the county building. Even for English speakers, it's a complicated place to navigate. Where do I find the assessor's office? Where do I find the clerk's office? So it's hard to navigate even in English. But we partnered with Sheriff Tom Dart, who's been amazing as a partner, because they staff the main kiosk in the county building lobby at 118 North Clark. You walk in, it's the first thing you see. And they have allowed us to put these I Speak cards in 39 different languages in their lobby kiosk. They're all different colors. And in those 39 different languages, on one side it says, "Welcome to the county building." You are entitled to receive services without denial or significant delay. And here's how you find A, B, C, D, E, F, G offices. Carry this card with you, and when you get to the clerk's office, the border review's office, hand this card to the employee. And on the other side of the card, in English, it says, "This person speaks Pashto. This person speaks Urdu. And here is the number to call, or here is how to find a translation device to be able to assist this person immediately, and that they cannot be denied or delayed services." So it accomplishes a few things. One, to welcome people to the county building, show our public support. Also to help people find where they're going, and help the employee. Oftentimes, we've all probably witnessed this uncomfortable interaction where the employee can't figure out what language the person's speaking. They're just speaking louder in English, and especially for the non-Spanish or things that are harder to figure out, it can be a long, drawn-out, humiliating process. And even for an employee that is being very respectful and trying to figure it out, it's hard. And so this cuts through that process because it says this person speaks Assyrian, and here's how to help them. A lot of employees also, the offices didn't have a translation device or didn't have access to a translation and interpretation line, and so now they do. All the staff have been trained, know how to reach it, and so it just makes the process so much more efficient and respectful and welcoming.
I appreciate you laying that out. I share a quick story. I was at the doctor's office a little over a week ago, and there was a gentleman there from Asia who was having a difficult time speaking to the receptionist and the medical professionals there. And it was hard to watch because I know my personality. I wanted to jump in and try to help out, but it wasn't my place to do that. But what was great about this, and what you just said reminded me of this, here are these young medical professionals, frankly, that were troubled with the fact that the gentleman didn't have someone there with him, but he was showing them his translation on a piece on his phone. This young woman was not to be denied to make sure that this man got taken care of. She was calling around. She tried to call the embassy. I mean, the point I'm making is,
wow,
right?
Good
I know,
for her.
Good for her, and I made sure to give her props before I left, and to let the doctor that I was seeing know how well that this young woman handled this situation. Older man, younger woman, she bridged the gap, both gender and language. But at the end of the day, it in a governmental way, this is why what you're doing is so important, because a lot of people don't get the treatment or the patience that they need, and having a card to bridge that, what a brilliant idea. I mean, it's just a wonderful tool to be able to have. And it comes back again to what I'm so proud of in terms of our leadership here in the state of Illinois. Let me ask you this question as we kind of keep moving forward. I think this is a national issue. What is your observation in this space?
It's absolutely a national issue. I mean, again, even prior to this administration, where there were mandates, if you received federal funding, you had to provide translation interpretation. People weren't doing it. And so, we are worried that places that were not doing it are definitely not going to do it now. And some places that were doing it, as budgets get tighter, as, again, it's not a requirement to receive federal funding anymore, that people will start to relax their approach to language access. I think sometimes there's a mentality that language access is a favor. So it's a nice thing that we do for people who don't speak English. And I say, no, it's an essential human right. It's an essential function of government to meet people where they're at and make sure that they get the public health information, the grant information, their permit information in a way that they can understand it. I tell the story about my great grandmother came to Chicago out of the internment camps, spoke really only Japanese, and after she got resettled, she wanted to help the Japanese American Service Committee start a free food program for other families that were coming out of the internment camps, and so she had to take the Chicago food handling test, but it was only provided in English. And so the story in our family that's been passed down is that she studied every night with her kids, every night, and memorized the entire test in English and passed the test. And you think of how many people want to do something good. They want to start a free food service program. They want to start a nonprofit organization. They want to help young people, but they can't because of language barriers. And it's hindering all of us. And I think that's one of the messages we want to get, is that this is a collective responsibility that makes all of us better, not just those who don't speak English.
Yeah, I mean, I that's a great story, and there's so many more of those stories. And what I think may come out of this Language Access Month and having the I Speak cards, what I think will happen is the people who are that are English speaking, that's their first language, will actually, and this is maybe the hopeful part of me, is they will actually say, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should revisit taking another language. Maybe I should take a class. Maybe I should, try to educate myself in a space that's part of the work that I do to be more efficient in the work that I do by learning another language. I don't know. I'm optimistic in that space.
I hope so. I mean, I think speaking multiple languages, right, it's an asset. It's a way of being part of a bigger world that I think all of us want to be a part of, especially, in this moment. And so something that's seen sometimes as a detriment really should be seen as an asset. And it's something that we're working on here in Cook County and the state. Most of our different levels of government have what's called bilingual pay, in their contracts. So if you speak another language and you use it to help people at work, it gives you a bump in pay. So it's actually an incentive, recognizing that we need people who speak different languages. Because while we can have these translation, interpretation lines and translation devices, there's nothing better than somebody who can just communicate directly with communities. And so that's something that we're continuing to build out and incentivize in government, recognizing it's another skill that should be utilized and respected.
Yeah. What are your other, I guess you could say, things on your whiteboard that you're working on and are planning for in this next session?
So for language access, we're working with all of our different municipalities. We were actually met with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus not too long ago to present I Speak cards and how to access a translation device or interpretation service. So we're working with the municipalities to also try to get them on board, because that's the front line for a lot of our communities, right, is going to their village, going to, these local offices. So we want to make sure and expand this initiative to all different levels of government. We're also working with the city and the state. We're also in the process of trying to work on a universal symbol for language access, right? Some basic kind of online tools, like always having the Google Translate toolbar in the upper right-hand corner, make sure it's not buried in multiple clicks so that people can find information. on a website, a universal symbol, so that, as you have a flyer, it's hard. You can't write Hablo Español, Polski, Chinese, right? Like, you can't list all 100 languages. It would take up the whole flyer, right? But if you had a universal symbol with a QR code that linked to all the translations that people could recognize and know, oh, that's where I go to get the translated, version of this document. So there's some kind of things like that we're working on around language access. We're excited. We're passing Cook County's first environmental justice policy this year, which was my first bill when I joined the board 2.5 years ago. We've engaged, thousands of residents in the process, and we're going to be passing that this year. So lots of good stuff.
Well, I always say when I send folks to our digital website, lots of good stuff. So I'm going to partner with you in that regard. We are so thankful to have you with us this morning, Commissioner Morita, and it's always great to talk to you. And I started following your work because you've leaned in really hard to the job and to the office that you're in. And we appreciate you taking the time out this morning. We want to have you back. You know that. You know I'm going to ask you for that right now as you progress along with not only this work and this legislation, but other things that you're working on. So we will ask you now if you will come back and visit us. I know you're going to say yes. And we thank you.
Anytime.
Well, thank you for being with us this morning. I know you got a busy day in front of you, and we appreciate you taking the time out and the hard work that you and the folks at the Cook County Commission are getting done for us. Thank you.
And I'll just add, anybody who's interested in the list of strategies and tools and resources that we've compiled, you can go to my website, www.josinamorita.org, and click on language access. And we have all of those tools that we had a big summit last year, over 20 different strategies for nonprofits, health clinics, schools, park districts, and local governments.
Fantastic. Glad you dropped that in. Appreciate it. Have a great day. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Bye now. Wow, Henry. Listen, guys. I'm proud of my hood, my city, my state, my county, all of it, because we have such good leadership here in the state of Illinois, and I'm glad that they're not perfect because that gives us room to improve. And I'm glad that they are focused on making things better, which is what Commissioner Morita is all about, particularly in the space of language. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've sometimes felt a little jealous when I'm around folks that are speaking a language other than English, and I'm like, I get it. And then you can read the body language if there's something that's going on that might be stressful or might be joyous. But doggone it, when they're, you're like, damn. I mean, I'm just being honest, Henry. Have you ever been in that moment where in your travels where you're like, oh man?
Oh, all the time. I'm always very not regretful, but I'm just like, oh, I should have pushed myself more in school when I was learning Spanish or anything like that, because it just would have helped me so much with every aspect of my life. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and the cool thing about it, to what she said, is this is an opportunity for people to look at this in terms of language and say, yeah, let's bridge the gap, and that's why I asked her, do you think more people will want to take on learning an additional language with this type of language and having a language access month? So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, she was great. She was great. Guys, our state is doing good stuff, and we just had a big upset, if you will, or change to the texture of what we're gonna and the framework of what we're gonna look like. And somewhat as a homer, I will say Illinois is one of the tipping point states in terms of what happens with the rest of the nation. And this change that we're seeing with regard to Representative Schakowsky and State U.S. Senator Dick Durbin is going to be a big one, not just for the state of Illinois, but for the country. And it could change the balance of power if we don't manage it the right way. I don't want to see Representative Schakowsky's seat go to the right, to the GOP. That would not be good, because the folks in that district would not fare well from that. I can tell you that. I know people in that district, and many of them are followers of this show and of our station and what we do. So, folks up in that part of the state need to have a representative that's going to represent that district. And it may come from someone that you may not know or have heard of. It may come from some of those people who are part of the locally elected officials that know what's happening for the people there. In fact, I hope it does. I'm not going to throw out any names just yet in that that could run. But the one for me that comes to top of mind, just because of his being elected mayor of being the mayor of Evanston, is Daniel Biss. There are many others, so we'll see how that plays out. But on a Senate level, man, oh man, oh man, we've got some great players there and some great names. I'm gonna lean in, and some people may say, "Oh, don't do it too soon," but I can commit. I would love to see strategically, and also from an effectiveness standpoint and legislative standpoint, what Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton could do in that position. I think she could be a real big voice. And then check this out, Henry. We will have our senior senator, an Asian woman that's a military veteran that's disabled, as our senior senator in the state of Illinois. No matter what, that's going to be the case. And then to have an African-American woman as our junior senator. And if it ends up being Lauren Underwood, okay, but you get my point with regard to Lieutenant Governor Stratton. As our junior senator, both something to deal with. Both women bringing the heat. And a lot of people are going to have some issues with that. And I'm fine with people having issues with that. I've said this before, guys. I've been blessed to have nothing but strong women in my life my entire life. And I want more of that. And I want those who understand what I just said to get behind that. So we're going to have our fingers crossed. And again, when I say fingers crossed, what do I mean by that? That we put the people. I know the voters make the decision. So let me be clear. I'm not stupid at how the process is. I know that the voters make the decision here. The voters are going to vote for who they want. But we all have a desire. This is why I asked the question earlier. Who do you want to see? Who would you like to see, and who do you think it should be? And this will be an ongoing conversation. Today's the first day of it, and we're going to have more conversations in this space as more people start to throw their hats in the ring, as the phrase goes. But we got it. We get this right, and we'll have two really strong people as U.S. senators from the state of Illinois. So let's get it right, y'all. Let's not be selfish about this. Let's think strategically as voters. The party bigwigs are going to do their thing, and they're going to do all their, I won't say backroom deals and all that, but they're going to have their influence. We know that. Let's be real and honest with ourselves. And the people who are running are going to make their case, and the voters will decide. I just want us as a voting bloc here in Illinois, and those who are outside of the state that may have a what's the word I want to use? They have a feeling about who they'd like to see the Illinois senator be. There's nothing wrong with that, but we got to get it right, and we can't mess around and let it slip, the House seat or the Senate seat, slip into the hands of the GOP, because they will muck it up, y'all. They will, and I'm telling the truth. So there you go. Henry, man, oh man, what a morning. We weren't able to have our folks from Blessings in a Backpack. Blessings in a Backpack with us this morning, but they will be with us next week. But for now, as always, what do we say? Take a deep breath, y'all. Make your life count. See you tomorrow.
It's nice to know someone is on your side. Mark Drugs always has your back. No two dogs are the same. A dosage form or strength of medication that works for one dog may not work for another. A compounding pharmacy like Mark Drugs is here to help you with your pet's medication challenges. We'll be happy to help you when your pet is sick. After all, it can affect the whole family. That's why we give our four-legged patients customized medications to make it easier for them to take. For pet medication problems, first see your veterinarian. Then talk to your hometown independent compounding pharmacy, Mark Drugs. If you'd like to know more about the ways we can personalize medication for each individual patient, we'd be happy to help. We are a compounding pharmacy, which means we can prepare the medication prescribed in a